And I mean, that kind of goes back to people living basically as two individuals under one roof. That's almost living 1 foot in and 1 foot out when you get married or whatnot. It's like you have to be all in because then you'll actually work on the relationship. You'll appreciate it. But yeah, with the dating apps and all that stuff, social media, people are just so quick to throw somebody away. And I'm not saying that like it's bad to like break up if you feel like it's not a good relationship for you. But if you feel like you basically have everything and you can look at a person and be like, I would marry them.
Yeah.
And you can talk to them and you can work things out, then like there's no reason to throw that away, especially I feel like in the sense of like men for something physical, because that's going to fade.
Right. Exactly. That's the other part of it. Well, one of the guys asked me, he was like, I don't know, like when does it wear off and you were going to want a different girl because this girl is not as attractive to you anymore because of time. And I was like, you're thinking, because he's like, it's like around 3 years or so, and then the attraction starts to fade. And then I was like, look, you're talking about, let's say that you're in a 5-year relationship. Mm-hmm. Well, let's say that you meet a girl when she's 30 and now she's 35. She's going to have aged in 5 years. It's not just it wore off because it's not new anymore. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's what he was thinking. I was like, what happens in 10 years when she goes from 30 to 40? I was like, you can't base it off of that. You can't think of it that way.
Well, and him already thinking that way is so damaging to the relationship. Right. Being like, so what do I do when she stops being attractive? It's like, you're going to stop being attracted to her in some degree because you think that way.
Right.
So it's like shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, and who wants to have, I mean, again, it comes back to the oneness and the security, which is required for the intimacy, because it does put you at this gridlock, is it's like, if you can't provide your partner with the safety that you're going to love them no matter what and be attracted to them no matter what, then how can they provide you with that safety? And then now if you're both like, well, I can't put myself in the vulnerable position of being like, I will love you and be attracted to you no matter what. And what if they don't feel the same way? And now, you can't have that level of intimacy.
It's conditional love.
Right.
Like if I'm not attracted to you, I can't be the person that I want to be is basically what he's saying.
Right.
Like, and what am I supposed to do? Like if he's saying he can't be attracted to her because it's diminished, how does he think he can rebuild that?
Right.
It sounds like his only option he thinks is to find somebody else.
Right.
But he literally just said that after like the 3-year mark, it goes away. So is this why men like also stay single a lot of the time? So then they couldn't date somebody for like 3 years, throw them away and then get someone new, and then it gets old and then he throws them away and gets a new person and continues this cycle.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like it's men who typically would do that more. You do see men that are more like perpetually single men.
Yeah.
Than perpetually single women, because most women want to be in a relationship. They're not just like, oh, well, I'll get bored of a guy in 3 years, so I'll just date a guy for 3 years and then get a new one, more successful. Well, and it's harder for women too because we do get older and men value youth, but it's like, what? I feel like he's created a situation and a problem that he almost can't even fix unless he finds somebody that he gets that intimacy level with where it transcends the physical.
And I think the scary thing about it for women is that a man can seemingly have everything else good in the relationship, and then the physical side of it could change for him. And that changes the entire...
And he throws everything away.
Whereas I think for women more so, I would say that sometimes it appears that way, that women would be like, okay, I'm bored of this guy after 3 years. Mm-hmm. But it's more likely that if a woman's in a relationship where all of her needs are being met from an emotional standpoint, then she's going to be happy. She's not going to be looking for... Whereas it's more likely that a guy will be like, okay, well... Yeah, I mean, everything is good, but is this the hottest girl that I could get? Is this like, could I do hotter than this? You know what I mean? It's like, and that's which again, it's not even to knock guys, because a lot of guys honestly feel like that's just how they're wired, and they can't help it. They don't want to be that way. But
there are things that he can do, like you said, that, can prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
and reaching that level of intimacy that I feel like guys really don't understand intimacy. And maybe they'll read a book like that Esther one that you were talking about. And then they're like, oh, well, I'd rather have desire over intimacy. So then they don't even want to work on intimacy because they're like, I'd rather have the sexual part.
Right.
And then that's why they're also searching for the hotness, the attraction.
Right.
But it ends up being like the desire, you can have the desire with the intimacy, which we'll have to do a whole episode on, like we talked about, but they would rather choose the desire. And so that's why they're so like, well, everything's good, but this isn't the hottest girl. And like you were talking about when we kind of discussed this a little bit, is that how does he even think it's going to be that much better with a hotter girl? Like the desire might actually be less because if she feels like she's out of your league, she might not treat you very well.
That's true. Exactly.
So it's like they think that that's going to fix all their problems or give them all the things that they want. And sometimes they're wrong. I mean, I'm not saying that maybe it is better for them. I don't know. But I know that not all the time it's going to be better because I'm sure there's some women out there who aren't going to like treat them the way that the woman he left treats him. And
it's not going to be markedly different. I think for some reason guys have it in their head that it's going to be markedly different if this woman that you rate as a 7 versus a woman you rate as a 9. First of all, when the light
two levels really that
when
much
the light
of a
when the
difference?
lights go out, it's,
oh my gosh.
But then even if the lights are on, when your face is that close, I mean, I'm just saying, like,
you're like you can't see anyway.
It's just. You think that, it's not like she's going to have a magical vagina. Like, that's
what I guess they think.
It's like, it's still going to be a very similar experience. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, if you really, really think about this, you think that it's going to be so much better than what it is actually going to be. And then you're going to become sensitized to that anyway. So that'll become the new normal. So, you might as well just have the normal that is good than try to think that, that you have to up it so many levels.
But since you were actually talking, this thing came into my mind. Do they even want the hot girl for who she is or for what it makes him appear?
And that's another piece
because
of it.
It sounds like he wants her more as a trophy.
Right.
Like, I want to get the hottest woman I could get.
Right.
Not, I want to get the most amazing, kind woman who treats me like a king and is just amazing. Like, he's not saying that. He's just saying, I want the hottest woman I could get.
Right.
So that makes me feel like he's not even doing it for her.
Right.
That he's using her for her hotness to get validation himself.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and it goes both ways because women do use men for the validation of the status.
Yeah, I'm not saying it doesn't.
Look at my doctor or lawyer,
I'm just saying, though, that in the instance we're talking about, because you're definitely right. Like, there are plenty of women who will get with a successful guy just because he's successful. She doesn't really care about anything else. It makes her look better. So I'm not saying you're wrong.
But it's a problem, and that's the validation seeking. And that's why also, like, guys, before they get into a relationship, they need to have some amount of experience with women, at least dating women, and have gotten that part of it out of their system so that they're not just trying to seek that validation to prove what a man they are. They have to already know what a man they are, right? And then they're not going to be necessarily doing it. Because that's the other thing is, like, a lot of guys think that they're out there looking for something hotter because it's what they want, but it's really just because it pumps their ego or it makes them feel better about themselves, which is not a good formula for success. Because the problem is that that's a never ending pursuit.
Cycle.
You can't ever get the validation that needs to come internally from the external. It can never happen. No matter how many buffets you eat at,
men and women,
you're gonna still be hungry tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. You can't just eat a meal and then not be hungry ever again. That's that external validation.
Yeah, that's true. And men and women both do that.
Yeah.
And I would say, these guys that you've been talking to who are like saying how they want these hotter women or they're not happy with the women they're with, it is intimacy that they're lacking or something else in the relationship. Like, I know in both of these situations, because we've talked about them, that they've had issues with the relationship in some way.
Yeah.
And I think maybe too that maybe they feel like it's tainted. It's not perfect anymore. It's not happy. And so they're almost like discarding it in a way. And that's also why they're like searching for a hotter woman, because they're kind of like, I don't want to say done with the relationship, but they're not focused on fixing it and making it a deeper, meaningful connection. They've kind of gotten to the point where now they're looking for what's up next. And would you say that that's true?
Yeah, I think so, because, and that goes back to the disposable idea that people don't want to work on the on the stuff.
It's easier to just dispose of people now, especially because you have so many options at your fingertips from the dating apps.
And again, a lot of guys too that I've talked to, they don't realize a lot of times what they're missing is actually the respect part, which is important to a man that makes him feel loved, because then he starts to, and the problem is a lot of guys don't address it because they're embarrassed to address it, or it's an uncomfortable subject, and so you have to address those things in order to have the depth of intimacy. And I could flip it and say on the woman's side, that she doesn't feel like she's getting the unconditional acceptance or love that she should be getting. And because of that, she might be, well, maybe I can find this romance somewhere else, or getting the romance.
Which we'll do a whole episode on love and respect too, because that's, again, like a long discussion.
Yeah. But I think that can also be the thing. But also she can work on that, and and just to give a quick for that we'll do an episode on, is both parties can do what the opposite needs in order to build the depth of intimacy. Like it's so you as a man can start to love the woman that you're with unconditionally and see how that changes how she shows up and how your attraction to her may change as well. And a woman can show a man an unconditional respect and then start to see how now maybe your attraction
showing up as the man, like more romantic and doing the things
exactly.
that she wants.
Better than